All right, cool. Let's see. Cool. So let me start off with a quick statement. So do you guys remember, I said this a couple of weeks ago, but I'm not the type of trader to point out a POI anymore and essentially try to use that as a reference point to create, you know, essentially a bias, a potential trade idea, blah, 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 blah. So the reason why I don't do that is because the way that we trade is not prediction based, it is reaction based, right? Hence why entries are based on reactions, structure. That's why we dive in very, very deep with structure, very, very deep with order flow to understand where price wants to go in order to judge whether or not a POI is valid. So it's not just about analyzing trend, analyzing a POI, stating a POI, and just setting a limit, placing a limit or what, anything like that, and execute the trade. It's not as easy as that seems in that way. It's more so based on needing not only a structural bias, you need a short-term, medium-term, long-term bias. You need a very, very, very detailed way of analyzing order flow and structure internally, because it's not just about what price does in terms of structure and in terms of POI reactions and then playing based on that. It's also about how price approaches your POI. It's also about analyzing effort, analyzing how momentum, how long a move takes, how how long a move takes to get into the POI, what it does in the POI, and it's super, super detailed. Hence why we emphasize this. This is what matters in terms of a short-term, medium-term play. Why? Because, let me take this off, because remember what we said, we judged, or no, we didn't judge, but we were anticipating, right, a potential bounce from this green line. So here's the thing, right, as we dive deeper into this range, you can see that the reaction was there. The reaction was given to us. We had a liquidity grab that then led to clear more liquidity, and then we came into the potential reference point of the continuation, high-low retracement continuation, and we even had a bearish scenario in play. What do I mean by bearish scenario in play? Right, we can see that where the new character started, character 1 in terms of high momentum, character 2 in terms of more corrective price movement, is the fact that that broke, which is actually, I would say, a break of structure on smaller time frame. Yep, it is. It is a break of structure. This created this new high. Then we have a low, high, low, high. Cool. So this was taken, and we go back to M15. The bearish scenario was in play. The bearish scenario played, reacted. It even gave a second entry in this M15 wick, and this entry created a new low. So the new low is already dictated to us that we have bearish order flow in play. It signifies to us that this overall POI, which is a previous structural low, is valid, and it gave us a solidified high because we took out low and we took out low again. So this is a solidified structure point. So that is the retracement of high, low retracement. So because this is now broken, and you now see a bullish liquidity grab, right? Although you can say potentially that we are still bouncing, the fact that we came into the same relative POI twice is alerting, for one. Two, although this created a new smaller time frame low, which is probably a scalp, a scalp low, this movement has not created a new significant low. Why? Because the preliminary leg was broken of the entire move, and we have a bullish liquidity grab based on potentially this. Took liquidity and then immediately bounced right back, a liquidity grab. So this is now the invalidation point of the bullish liquidity grab. And when it ended up happening, right, although we had a bounce, that short-term order flow movement did take a scalp target, but it did not take structure. So because that was the case, this move came back to bounce here. So mitigation 1 fails to even create a scalp low. Mitigation 2 fails to do the same thing. Mitigation 3. So that's now 3 bounces inside of the same relative POI. That is weak order flow. Hence why, although we see a second reaction and we even see the preliminary structure breaks, right, the full leg that took scalp structure is still in play, meaning we are still bullish. So once that bullishness is set, right, this is kind of emphasizing what we talked about on Tuesday with the structural disruption. So we see, right, that maybe there was something here on smaller time frame, or maybe there was a 50%. This cleared a preliminary level of structure, giving to us a sign of bearishness. So let's say somebody wanted to take a scenario based on here. Okay, that is a loss, but that is okay because this is your invalidation. So you now have a potential new high being created, meaning there, and you now have a retracement, continuation, retracement, show its hand. What does this signify now? Once we zoom out, it signifies that price wanted to give us bearish movement, but too much effort. And I say too much effort because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 bounces that wanted to give bearish momentum, but it did not give a structure break. So it's high effort, low result. In effect, you get bullish break of structure, bearish disruption here, bearish disruption here, bearish disruption here, and even bearish disruption here. So that now that is the case, I'm trying to find this PO. Okay, there we go. Now that is the case, right, because it took so much volume. Let me highlight this candle really quick. Because it took so much volume to not only try to take price down, but inevitably having it fail, right, the positions in place, right, the order flow here, all the bearish order flow here needs to be mitigated. And that is why this is such a perfect entry, right? Because although you could have theoretically taken a loss here, price showed its hand, it gave a disruption, it emphasizes the bias, it emphasizes that we are now bullish. And this is why these entries are so perfect, because you wait for it to show its hand, and because you wait for it to show its hand, you're presented a very high probable bullish scenario, right? So does that make sense? Do you guys understand what I mean by we got a reaction but it failed, and that gives you the opportunity to get a very good discounted, or in this scenario, a very good discounted price to achieve a quote-unquote reversal. Does that make sense? Cool. So do you guys understand what we are doing in terms of this as a whole? Do you guys understand what I'm doing with this as a whole? Do you understand what I'm getting at here? Change of character. Yeah, you can say change of character. Reaccumulation. Let me see. So let me ask you a trick question now. I have a trick question. Is this that? Okay, so looking at this, so looking at this and looking at this, does this look the same? Trick question. Does this look like this? Yes or no? Does this look like this? Yes or no? Okay, we got one no, two no's, kind of yes. Okay, you got two no's, one yes. No. Yes, in a way. Describe, what do you mean by in a way? Because I'm getting at a point here, and I think it's I'm gonna make a good point to you guys. What do you mean by in a way? Ricardo, can you please tell me what you mean by in a way? The range is created or similar. Okay, no, that's not the answer I was looking for. So my answer is no. This does not look like this. Right, but now let me ask you another question. What is a Wyckoffian? What defines a Wyckoff trader? Getting at a point here. What defines a Wyckoff trader? Excuse me. No, close, but no. That's an attribute of a Wyckoff trader, but that is not what defines a Wyckoff trader. A study of ranges, correct. So when people say we are not Wyckoff traders because we trade smart money concepts, no, well, decomposing a Wyckoff range or a range period needs smart money concepts, right? And it needs even beyond that, which is why we've introduced order flow, which is why we've introduced all these rules of structure, which is why we've introduced this, and this. Because at the end of the day, a Wyckoffian is somebody who can study ranges to anticipate a high risk to reward trade based on whether a range is going to go up or down, right? So Wyckoff, if he were to analyze this as a reaccumulation, his scenario is this. Oops. Is that. That is a true Wyckoffian is perspective of what a trading range means to them, right? Because this range has shown us signs of bullishness, and the sign of bullishness has given us a reason to want to long. And because it's given us the opportunity to long, you get a big result. Why? Because this falls now into the rules of Wyckoff, cause and effect. The cause, right? What is happening in the cause? We have weak order flow. We have now order flow disruption, breaks of structure showing its hand, right? And what is the effect, right? A bullish move to the upside, a very big bullish move to the upside. Why? Because we studied the range, we decomposed the range, and we understand structure, order flow, momentum, effort, volume, bubble, etc., etc., etc. And that generates a bias here. All we have to do is catch the pullback. Right, so you see what I mean by by not prediction based, reaction based. You see what I mean with that? So that is why you know, it's a bit foolish to say that we are not Wyckoff traders because we trade the principles of Wyckoff. Whereas other people that attempt to trade Wyckoff are only trying to find these abbreviations here, because they think that just because you get 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, creek, break of structure, they think just because of that linear process you're going to get a linear result to the upside, where no, because for example, this does not look like a range until we get here, and it's until you analyze what is happening here from a structure order flow perspective that allows you to see whether this move is going to judge whether or not we're going to go up or down. Right? Does that make sense? Tricky indeed. Good that it's tricky. That means you got to rewatch this. But the entire in terms of, just in summary, a Wyckoff trader is a trader who studies ranges to anticipate a higher move in the desired direction after the move is shown its hand. That is my definition of a Wyckoff trader, right? Because that is what, for example, who's actually read the Wyckoff books and all the Wyckoff stuff? Who's actually read that? And who's read that and can recall it? Ooh, that's bad. Nobody has read it. That's bad. Start but not finished. Okay, cool. In summary, what you're going to learn in anything Wyckoff related is, it's not going to point this out specifically, but all the Wyckoff books are teaching you how to read trading ranges based on effort, volume. I wouldn't say structure because structure isn't emphasized in it, but effort, volume, laws, and schematics. That is how you learn what a trading range is. That is all Wyckoff is, right? How have we evolved it, right? Well, we understand order flow, we understand internal structure, we understand external structure, we understand how to collaborate, volume, momentum, all that stuff, right? To create a rational decision into why price should go in the desired direction that we want it to. And so you see that entire process is a very, I would say, somebody said this to me and they described trading to me, and they told me that it was graduate level thinking, and it's true, because you're not just trying to read rules and apply them. You're trying to read rules, understand them to the point where you can reiterate them, right? And once you reiterate them in the chart, you have to be dynamic enough to be able to take a desired position, right? Because it's all hindsight until you do it yourself. So understanding that, right, you have to learn how to create a trading plan, right, which is essentially what you were trading, how you were trading, and why you were trading it. You then have to create a trading model, is a sequence based on your trading plan that gives you a sequence that you will repeatedly see, and repeatedly is in quotations, right? Because no two trades are the same, right? Principally they are, but realistically, in reality, they aren't. Okay, so I'm trying to make a trading model based on my trading plan. I have to manage my risk to where I know how much risk I am exposing myself to, and if that is comfortable, can I afford it, right? Risk is all about ability and willingness. Ability, can I afford my risk? And 2, am I willing to take this risk? Is the risk worth it, right? And after that, you have to manage your trade now, your position. Am I scaling out? Am I holding for the long run? Is this a short-term, medium-term, long-term trade? And so that entire process is what we call trading. So it requires high-level thinking, high-level intellect, a lot of time, a lot of practice, and a lot of application. Right, so that's pretty much rant for today, but back to the chart. Right, so we understand cause and effect. So effect, right, that is why I cannot justify, right? You remember the POI that we pointed out here? I cannot justify that POI without a reaction here, because we've already had such a big cause just for it to reverse on us and then give us a bullish scenario to then give us the presented move, right? So I cannot justify any type of reaction here because of what is happening here. And when you're thinking about it from a bigger picture, think about it like this. Okay, I see a scalp BOS here, I see the reaction, and I see a potential entry. Why should this small reaction counteract this big reaction? We have to think time. We have to think, how long did this move take? What did it take for this move to reverse? And what is the narrative that I'm seeing based on that cause? So this cause is much bigger than this cause. So the stability, what's the word I'm looking for? The security, that's the word. The security of this range is much higher than the security of this range, right? Which is, do you guys remember that I said that in the structure videos, that the security of a structural range is less the smaller you go in terms of structural level. Do you guys remember me saying that? Well, that applies to everything. That applies to a POI, that applies to a structural range, that applies to order flow, that applies to a range, that applies to everything. So why should I rely on the security of this minor reaction when this bigger reaction has given me a much bigger move? You see what I mean? So it's all trying to be logical, rational, and making plays based on that. That's all it is. Right, so moving to EU. The lower you go in time frames on structural levels, pretty much anything below major intraday. I would say anything below minor intraday. I would say minor intraday. Because I would say the scalp is primarily for entry. So you see what I mean? So with scalp, I'm not trying to be too precise, because you have to understand that price is not, even though price is fractal, right? Price is not 100% efficient. Because it's not 100% efficient, right? That is the reason why you see these, these wicks here. For example, you could blame it on news, but that just shows that price isn't 100% efficient, meaning that order flow is not 100% efficient. So that means that order flow is not as easy as this. Order flow is not as easy as that. Am I right or am I wrong? Because if order flow was as easy as this, we'd all be rich. You see what I mean? So that's why, just as anything, too much of anything is bad for you, right? Even fucking water. Over-refinement is bad, right? That's what I'm getting at with that. Over-refinement is bad because price is not 100% efficient. Therefore, order flow is not 100% efficient. That's why you get wicked out on M1 candles. That's why you get wicked out on M5 candles. Exactly. Exactly, which is why you don't see me trading every day anymore. Can I trade these intraday ranges and make, and get these trades on a daily basis? 100%. Anybody can. But the thing is, right, risk, willingness, and ability. Am I willing to take the risk, and can I afford the risk? So those are subjective to you. How much risk am I exposing myself to on a regular basis, for one, and two, in terms of willingness, not only am I willing, not the only question, or the question isn't only am I willing to take the trade, but am I willing to take the risk, right? Not just anticipating the reward, but anticipating the risk as well. And that is why high risk to reward is a thing, because it's composed of that mindset, that ideology. Right, so looking at this now, once again, this is what we talked about with with structural disruption. So structural disruption, we have a justified bearish scenario based on low high retracement. Right, we pointed out the inefficiency here, but in reality, we reacted from there. Right, reacted from there. This caused a bullish move that took structure. So that makes this a solidified low based on low, high, retracement, continuation, unwillingness, because we then came to break the POI. That's a break of structure, that's a disruption, etc., etc., etc. So this move now kills the entire bullish bias. So you know, just how I said, as easily as we can convert one way, we can convert the other way. As easily as it is here to take this long position, just as easily we can fail. So now that this has failed, we have to think and we have to regroup, which is where you understand structure now. And if you go here, right, all of this noise, in my opinion, this no man's land, don't care for it. This right here, don't care for that. Okay, sign of optimism, but I know we are bearish. The narrative has already been dictated here. When we have one direction and then the opposite direction, not only is that a liquidity grab, but that is a structural disruption. So, because that is the case, right, I have to now try to find where structure will align with that bias. So, right, come through London, right, we had a bullish push, bearish push, a potential bearish scenario, because you could say that's a break of structure, and then that comes and meets target. Cool. What happens after we meet target? Right, just as we said, we can convert immediately. We are bearish up until here. Now we have a bullish liquidity grab. We are now bullish, but I do not want to take a long, because the narrative is bearish. So you see low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, break of structure, break of immediate structure, and notice we have liquidity sitting here. This was taken, and we've now taken preliminary structure. That is I would say a minor intraday liquidity grab. So that means that your structural range, right, whether it's here or we come here, is now in alignment with this, right? So this is now why we anticipate in a premium, I'm sorry. Yep, good eye. Yep, good eye. You're talking about this. Oh, I'm sorry. This. Yes, good eye. I didn't see that. Good eyes. But yeah, you could even see here, there's a push up, which caused the move to the downside. So yeah, so that adds even more confluence, right? Because I'm not really focused on the POI, I'm focusing on the structure in play and the narrative in play. But yeah, good eyes. But as you can see, this is when price is essentially perfect. That is when you get these perfect scenarios, because the narrative is dictated. You understand structure, you understand order flow, right? And who cares if this is my invalidation would have been there, a 4.5 pip stop. That's fine, because you understand that my higher time frame narrative is already converted. So because it's converted, I have a lot of room to grow with. So this is a 4.5. So you see how these trades grow over time. 90 pips, 1 to 20. Justified scenario. Because we understand narrative, we understand structure, and we understand the delivery based on order flow structure, volume, momentum, effort, ranges, etc. And what are we doing again? Studying a trading range. You see what I mean? Right? Devil's in the detail. Devil's in the detail. Yeah, it's a lot of, the thing is though, is you need to understand the details. I can tell you this and it'll sound, you know, it'll sound really cool, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's until you're able to understand to apply. Well, practice, apply, and you know what I mean. Right, it's those little details. That's what makes all the difference. The little details. Right, and just because I don't see something, right, or I miss something, doesn't mean you will miss it too. Like, for example, that POI that Damien pointed out. You see, we may trade the same things, but we don't see the same chart. So you have to find your derivative. Right, so AU, this one too, very interesting. Actually, I'm gonna delete a lot of this stuff. Right, so we know that we are bearish. Okay, we said this is the one that looks the most bearish. I remember saying that, and it does. Right, but the thing is just as easily, like as I said, as we can convert into a bullish bias, it's just as easily as we can convert into a bearish bias. So we have our pullback, right, solidified high, right, after we take structure. So this is the pullback, right, even if this preliminary range, high, low, retracement, unwillingness, bearish, liquidity grab, bullish, mitigation, break of structure, you're bullish. Right? So, up until you are bullish, excuse me, up until here, you are bullish because you have order flow, structure. But, momentum. This momentum takes 1, 2, 3 preliminary levels of structure. And keep in mind, this already gave a discount to give a new high. So for it to come right back to discount shows to me that the mitigations are weakening. Not only that, we just took bullish liquidity. We did not even break the preliminary range, and we've immediately come back into a discount. This gives to me a potential liquidity grab here. Strong momentum, right? Low momentum here in comparison to this, meaning this is already shown its hand. So even though the minor intraday or major intraday here, whichever you want to call it, is still bullish, our overall is bearish. So I just need a reason to risk. Oops. So what do? H1 inefficiency, first thing I see. And then I read this, right? So remember what I said, over-refinement is bad. Over-refinement is bad. Oh, I wouldn't say it's bad, but over-refinement could lead to unnecessary losses. That's how I'm gonna leave it at. So let's look at solidified structure points. We see, obviously, I'm positive the first thing you guys see is this, a potential break of structure off of inefficiency. Well, this is why solidified structure points are important. 1, 2, solidified low, because this then took out structure. This leads here, right? This continuation is just a continuation of the solidified low. So my solidified high is here because this is after this high is the first time we broke structure. So yes, this is strong momentum, but at the end of the day, this is still bullish. You could say BOS, but my solidified points, 1, 2, because these are the points that actually took preliminary levels of structure, are still bullish. So you see how this is a new way of looking at structure. So now I see that we did not create a substantial new high. Once you do not create a substantial new high, right, this, right, is now potentially a liquidity grab. Why? Because remember, we have a bias that's already in play. And so now we've already shown its hand. And now, right, we've essentially are looking for an excuse to risk. So this is where we zoom in. Go to M5. Right, so the liquidity is cleared. The liquidity is cleared. Right, we had the preliminary structure break, but this is just a continuation BOS here, and we're still technically bullish from a scalp time frame, because that scalp bullishness is what was necessary to take the liquidity out. So this low is now looking to create a new high. What happens? Oops. Did not break the high. I don't know if that tapped it. I don't know if that's a liquidity grab. Doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, this did not create a substantial new high. That's all that matters to me. So this is now unwillingness. Unwillingness, although we came back to the final potential mitigation point, right? There's 1 tap, 2 tap, 3 tap, right? And if we look at our volume, low, 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 low. So there's no demand supporting this mitigation. So what POI do I see here? 50%. And remember, I don't like my 1 pip SLs. I like at least 1.5, but my invalidation for me was here. That's a 2.2. Right, so you see how if I would have over-refined, right, that would have hit a sell. If I would have over-refined. But at the end of the day, I just want to be right. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to win you trades, and that's what's going to give you big results. Because at the end of the day, I'm looking at M1. A 2, 3, 4 pip stop is nothing. Right, in terms of overall scale, if you're trying to find a medium-term, long-term scenario. And so this is how you see me get these bigger swings. Right, where the first target was met there. Already 1901, 40 pips. Currently 60 pips. But because we've broken structure here, this is now unwillingness based on the bearish liquidity grab, unwillingness, break of structure, solidified high 1. Not a solidified low yet, but this should be the new structural range. And we should continue lower. Right, next target being there. Right, so you see how I'm putting everything together. It's until you put everything together that you can make it justified position. Right, so does that make sense? So it has to connect. It has to connect. So because this is, you know, high level thinking, graduate level thinking, this is, you know, not easy to apply. So over time, I'm probably going to try to help you guys with not necessarily becoming smarter, but becoming intellectually superior to what you are now. And that's kind of a lot what already Sergio does with his calls. Right, I promise you, half of the stuff you've seen on his Zooms you've never heard of before. Promise you. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Exactly. What are you talking about? Which unwillingness? There's two sets of unwillingness. So why is this not secure? See, you're trying to complicate this now, because this unwillingness was based on M15 unsubstantial new high. It's until this unsubstantial new high is created that I can start zooming in to M1. It's only until this is showing me the unwillingness, which is the liquidity grab here. You can see it. Low, high, new low. This is based on M15. M15. Which is based on H1 liquidity grab. So it's only secure here because it's being derived from H1 M15, which is then derived from high, low, overall retracement continuation. So it's not secure because it's M1, but it's secure because it's based on M15, H1, H4, daily. Everything is in support. That's why it's secure. That's why it worked out. So out of this entire thing, don't be focused on this minor details here. Right? At the end of the day, you want to get in the trade. But what you should be focusing on is how this was derived from high, low, potential new low. All right, so no need to complicate it. No need to complicate it. Does that make sense? Right, what are you confused about? Like, that's just my thing. I know. Yeah, but what do you have doubt about? That's what I'm confused about. What is? Hold on. What is? I don't understand what's confusing you.
Bro, can you hear me? Here also it was unwillingness, right?
Yeah,
And
but what did we? Hold on. Why are you pointing this out when I've already explained that this is still bullish? So this is picking a high. This is not picking a high.
okay, so until here also it is bullish, right?
Yes.
So we are specifying the liquidity grab just of that 1 minute structure break after it took the liquidity. I was I had a doubt in that.
Well, you understand that. Let me see.
Like after
This
we took
liquidity
this
grab.
liquidity. Yes.
Okay, so this liquidity grab is not my sign to sell just yet. You aren't. This is how I know you aren't listening. Because in order to get this bullish liquidity grab, I need bullish structure. You delete your drawing, please. You need bullish structure to reach. So now you see how this is unwillingness, right? Although we have not taken the full structure, this is unwillingness because it took preliminary structure. Does that make sense?
Yes, but until we break this, we are not bearish, right?
Conservatively, fully bearish, no.
Okay, but for
But if you wait
execution
for that,
purposes, and
you probably will miss the trade.
okay,
You will probably miss the trade.
okay, got it.
Right, so now does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there another confirmation that you have besides without seeing that minor structure break? Or is it just from price action? You're just going to say that I'm willing to take a risk at this point.
Wait, what do you mean?
So back where you're
I've stated
underwriting.
every confirmation I've used.
Yeah, I get you. I understand that part. I'm just saying normally you wait for that secondary like break of structure, and you just didn't there. So I guess I'm just wondering, why do you sometimes?
Well,
why
I didn't need that because of the liquidity grab.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The liquidity grab is based on another liquidity grab. So it's the same thing here. It's the same thing here. The liquidity grab means that I did not need the second break of structure, which would have been here. Because if I wait for this, right now, well, now technically would be where I would look for a conservative entry.
Yeah, I got you.
Mm-hmm. So it really just depends.
Yeah, it's fractal. I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Just the super low time frame. Sometimes people get jumbled up in. That's why.
Oh,
but
yeah,
there's also a POI. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that you're also coming off of. So it's not like there's not another confirmation there as well.
So there is overall direction. There's medium-term direction. In support, there is a medium-term liquidity grab, and I mean the H1. Right, strong momentum. That's 4. Right, although we are still bullish here. The liquidity grab internally, that's 5, right? And then I wait for that minor time frame. Minor time frame. Right, although there is no break, I wait for the minor time frame unwillingness. Right, that's 6. 6 confirmations in place that I just think of on the top of my head. I'm positive there's more, I need to find them.
Do you run through this just in the morning, like when you're looking at it? Are you doing all of those before even thinking about taking a trade, or do you already know going into the day what you're looking for?
I mean, my bias hasn't changed on AU in a long time.
Yeah.
Which is why you don't really see me drawing too much on H4, H8. I already know where my bias is. So yeah, let's see. Do you guys have any more questions, or can we end it off here?
Nope. Appreciate it.
Which Wyckoff document is your favorite? I wouldn't say I have a favorite, because the thing is you're in anything Wyckoff, you're just gonna learn the principle of Wyckoff, and that's what matters. But no, I wouldn't say I have a favorite. I wouldn't know how to judge what my favorite is.
Hey Fredo,
Mm-hmm.
with experience, you were able to take the trade here, right? But now when the direction is clear, so now when we see a pullback, wait a second, let me show you. Can you switch to M15 or 1 hour?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like after this direction is clear, this entry would be more conservative,
This
right?
one, yes. But I believe this was a news event. This was today. Yep, NFP today.
Yeah.
So this would have needed to be a limit.
But if
structure.
we see on 1 hour also, we will get more opportunities to short.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You always get more opportunities when you're looking at medium term, higher term bias. Yeah.
yeah, just this was very complicated entry for me to understand. So I will like study this more, like the way
If
you
anything,
based it overall.
yeah, if anything, you don't have to trade this.
Yeah,
You
right,
can
right.
wait for
That's
this
all.
to happen, and you can let that dictate this
Yeah, right.
or this. You see, there's a wick there.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you don't have to do this. You can do this, and I promise you, like this trade, if you like, let's actually look at that, because a lot of the time the conservative entry could have a much better RR, right? Because I was looking at this morning, because there's a 30-second candle here inside of there. Let me delete. This is what I was looking at this morning. It just depends on how aggressive, how conservative you want to be. For example, I probably wouldn't have caught this, if I'm being honest. I more than likely would not have caught that. But this reaction generated a new scalp range, which is in harmony with our original bias, which is in harmony, excuse me, with the overall picture. So when I see this leg push down, I know my POI, I know my inefficiency, and I know this wick here. You see? So once this reaction has occurred, you can be extremely aggressive here, where you can either take this, right? And you could easily put an SL right above the POI, just because if you break the POI, that's when you get your disruption, because there's a reaction, right? But this is aggressive because you don't wait for that micro break of structure. But a lot of the thing is too, is if you wait for the microstructure break, a lot of the time you won't get the trade, period. You'll miss the trade, right? So you have to find the balance between being conservatively aggressive. You see what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it really just depends on you. You see what I mean? Like, for example, I know you have your model in place, and it's very conservative. But remember that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I believe, was it, that you will probably miss a lot of trades?
Yeah, right, right.
So that's not necessarily a bad thing, because for one, if you're looking at bigger, at bigger picture trades, and you're missing a lot of them, then that means that you're very specific, and means that your hit rate is probably very good. And that means that you'll be able to, even that one winner every 1-2 weeks will pay you for the month. But you could take that also as like a constructive criticism, and you could alter your model to be more intraday based, shorter time frame, medium time frame based. And even though you're going to miss a lot of intraday trades, you'll still probably get 1, 2, 3 good scenarios a week. So you see what I mean? Like it all depends on what you want to do, how you want to do it, your risk profile, etc., etc.
Yeah, right. Improvise. Got it. Thank you.
But is it bad if we don't include Wyckoff at all in the beginning? Well, what do you mean by you don't include Wyckoff? You're trading Wyckoff regardless. You're studying ranges, you're studying effort, you're studying volume. And effort is volume, momentum, structure. That's why I don't teach you to put abbreviations of Wyckoff concepts or Wyckoff terms. I'd rather have you dissect the range, because dissecting the range will show you where the direction will go regardless. Whereas if you wait for the schematic to finish, then you'll probably miss a trade. Yeah, I don't really, you don't see me marking up schematics anymore. Not because I don't use them, but because I care more for what the range is doing, not what the abbreviations are saying. Right, cool. So I think we can end it off there. 11:30, end it off there. All right, cool. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday. For sure. Yeah, have a good day.